Aye aye, shepherd's pie. Greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for a walk and a talk on a very hot day in glorious Dumaguete. Now, I haven't done one for a while, and I have been quite touched at the number of people who have messaged me and asked me if I'm okay, why I haven't been making any videos, where have I disappeared to, and nothing sinister. The reason is this little fella. In the streets about 6 weeks ago. No, not 6 weeks ago, probably a month ago now. What am I talking about? Middle of the road. Was clearly going to get run over. Terrified. So we took him in as an extension to the Speaking of Asia family. Now again, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you all know a few months back we rescued a kitten. This little fella. And that's all it's been, chaps. Between the two of them, I've just been so busy. Just haven't had time with my quizzes and all those other things. I just, my hands were tied raising our fur babies. And you'll be pleased to know, if you're animal lovers, they're getting on like a house on fire. So, again, those of you who are going to try and cross the road here, I'll explain why I'm doing a walk and a talk in a noisy, crowded, hot Dumaguete in a minute. But those of you who've been watching the channel for a while will know I recently went to Vietnam with Ellen, and we fell in love with the place, and we had plans to move there, and that's what we were going to do at some stage in the future. But then we got the fur babies, and that kind of complicated things and made it a bit more difficult. So during that time, I have been asking myself a question, which I'm going to talk about now. It's getting a bit windy, so I don't know what the sound's going to be like on this. And the question is, well, the two questions is, did I make a mistake moving to the Philippines? And if I did, do I regret it? And the reality is, and that's why I am making this video now, walking around Dumaguete in all its glory, because to the naked eye and to the average tourist that comes here, it isn't that great. It really isn't. Again, if you watch the channel for a while, you'll know it took me nearly 2 years to fall in love with the place. When I first came here from Thailand, I was not impressed at all. I thought I had made a mistake, but it gradually started to grow on me, and I started to love the place. But then, seeing Vietnam, seeing Ho Chi Minh City, it gave me a buzz, kind of which I had not experienced since I lived in Thailand, in the sense that it felt like the real Asia. I've always thought that the Philippines is what I call Asia Light. Doesn't have the same culture, doesn't have the same magic and mystery as Thailand did, and I get the impression living in Vietnam would give you. So, having thought about it, I think I did make a mistake moving to the Philippines. If I had known what I knew now about Vietnam and the But the thing is, Vietnam was never really in a reckoning at that stage. I started to hear great things about Vietnam after I got here. Before I moved to the Philippines, it was really a toss-up between Colombia and the Philippines. And Colombia won, said it before, purely because I can't salsa dance. And I read on various forums and speaking to people, if you can't salsa dance, then you're going to find it very hard to mingle and mix and meet ladies and that kind of stuff. The Spanish didn't put me off. I thought I could pick that up quite quickly, but the Philippines won out. But then when I got here, I started hearing great things about Vietnam. A few people I interviewed for the channel had been there, come back, some had moved over there. You know, I did hear good things about it when I was living in Thailand. But having been there now, I can see where they're coming from. In terms of the infrastructure, the food, the culture. Again, I'm no expert on Vietnam. We were only there for 10 days, but the reality is I realise now that I would have been better off moving to Vietnam over the Philippines. So the next question is, do I regret it? And the answer is no, I don't regret it. And I'm quite resigned now to the fact that now we've got the kitten and the puppy. We've done a couple of name changes, by the way. The puppy is called Case and the kitten is called Pencil. So we've got Pencil and Case. So there you go. It amused us anyway. Little things amuse little minds. Do I regret it? And the answer is no, I don't regret it. Because I love Dumaguete, and I'm happy to stay here long term now, because to quote Dylan Thomas, it's an ugly, lovely town. Or to quote the film Twin Towns, it's a pretty shitty city. It's not much to look at, you know. It doesn't have great beaches, you know. It is a bit tired and torn and ragged at the seams, to quote Bagpuss. Some of our American brothers will wonder what the hell I'm talking about, assuming they can hear me. But Dumaguete is a special place in the sense that the expat community here is fantastic. It's a laid-back place. It's a welcoming place. Never felt any animosity living here from the locals. Never had any issues in Dumaguete with the locals. And I've made more what I would consider to be good friends in Dumaguete in the last 2 years than I'll have made, I think, in the last 15 years in Asia. I mean, the expat community here is fantastic. Now, anyone who's studied psychology will know there's an attribution theory, which basically means, you know, when you make a decision, you try and convince yourself it was the right decision. And I'm always cognizant of the fact there may be an element of that now that I'm kind of stuck here with the kitten and the puppy. Or stuck here with Ellen. And I'm not stuck here with Ellen because Ellen was quite up for moving to Vietnam. And you never say never. I mean, we might do in the very distant future. But the reality is, I'm happy here. I am happy here. I think Vietnam is just going to be a place that is holidays for us. Maybe slightly longer holidays as we get older. But as I've said many times, the thing about Dumaguete is it's the social aspects. There really is a very tight-knit expat community here who on the whole are very good chaps, at least in the circles I move in. And they're friends who will do anything for you, friends you can rely on. And that's important. And I say, you know, I have been to 76 countries. I've lived in 10 countries. We can say 15 if you include, like, you know, RAF detachments and things. But I've never met in a place like this where, you know, it is such a nice bunch of chaps and chapesses. And I very much doubt, or I can say with a great degree of confidence, I would not have found a community like that in Vietnam, because you're not going to get that in a big city like Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi, and I think it's very unlikely you get it in Da Nang. But I don't move to Vietnam, obviously I wouldn't know what I was missing here. I'd have a circle of friends. I mean, everyone said, like, you know, I've met Ellen. I have met Ellen, but if I hadn't come here, I'd have met someone else, I'm sure, and she would have met someone else. So, you know, but... And that's why I say I probably made a mistake, because I'm quite sure things would have worked out in Vietnam. But the point is, I didn't go there, and I'm past the stage of the grass is always greener. And one of the reasons I'm talking about this now is obviously to make some content, but I've seen a few videos I've watched lately where people have moved to like Thailand away from the Philippines, or they've moved here, and they just start bad-mouthing the Philippines, you know, and how great Thailand is, or how great Vietnam is, or this place. And the reality is, I think there's a hell of a lot of that is attribution theory. They're trying to convince themselves that they've made the right decision. And I'm not knocking them for that. It's a very common, perfectly normal human trait. It was amazing to me, not a single customer in that place, and yet the music is banging out. Very generous of them to share their sound with the rest of the city. And I'll tell you now, I'm not going to name anyone, but I met a YouTuber the other day who I know quite well, who has recently left the country. He might talk about it in his channel. And another friend who I know well, a lot better than the vlogger, who moved to Thailand a year ago. And they were both, it's fantastic, it's fantastic, it's fantastic. I've met both of them again in the last few weeks, and they're thinking about moving back here. And the reason they're thinking about moving back here is because they miss the sense of community. They miss the expat community here. And yeah, I sound like I'm being sentimental, but it's quite a special thing. It really is. I say I've never made so many friends so quickly, and good friends, in such a short space of time. And in 2.5 years I've been here, I haven't fallen out with anyone I can think of, apart from that lunatic over there, the psychopath who tried to end me in City Hall. But he was as mad as a box of frogs, so there was no way you could avoid falling out of him, really. But yeah, you know, it is. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have come here. I probably should have tried somewhere else. But once you've been somewhere, there's kind of no going back, is there? You know, once you put your roots down, you put your roots down. Always find it funny when people say, this city's better, that city's better. Because it depends on your outlook, it depends on the people you've met, it depends on your, you know, like most of our lives, we live in cities because we work there or because our family's there. It's all very well saying this city's better, but if your kids are in school in a different city and your family's there and your loved ones are all there, then that city's not better, is it? I mean, it's also it's quite a juvenile thing to say a place is terrible but another place is good. I do wonder if you're going to hear a word I'm saying if I'll ever hear this video. It's the trouble when you do these walkabouts in the city. That's why I don't usually do them, because they're so damn noisy. Hello. But yeah. So just take it with a pinch of salt, because you'll often see expats running down a place like Thailand or Vietnam or Cambodia or whatever, or more succinctly the Philippines, when they have left that place. I'm going to turn around now because I think the road's going to get so bloody busy. I'm approaching the centre now. I just take a little walk down from LB Hypermarket because I was doing some shopping in a minute. That's the plan anyway. Yeah, they'll say, I mean, I've heard it described as the death of 1,000 cuts, and this does this to you, and it's terrible for this, and it's terrible for that. And I often think, well, it was like that when you got there. Has it worn you down? I mean, I guess it has. But equally, have you changed? You know, has your relationship gone sour? You know, is the place you think you've gone to really the utopia you think it is? And I say that's the thing with Dumaguete. I've said many times, a lot of vloggers will come here, they'll see it, they'll look around, they'll see it's got rough areas, it's got dirty parts, beaches aren't great, you know, It's not got fantastic anything really, and if I would never invite a friend over here for a holiday. It's not a tourist destination, but they won't know that what Doomaggetty's got to offer until they've lived here for a period of time. It's like anywhere, you know, your home is your home. So what I'm saying is, you've got to put your time in, and again, you're not going to get to know people. You're not going to get to know what it's really like, because as someone once said in the comments, a guy called Trevor, I don't think he watches the channel anymore, you've got to earn your wings in any expat community. You know, people have got to get the feel of you. They've got to get to know if they trust you, or you know what they make here, before they welcome you in. So you know, you can't. You just got to do your time. It's like the 2-year rule. I've always had a 2-year rule. You give a place 2 years before you decide whether it's for you or not. And I did that with Doomaggetty. And if I hadn't have done, I wouldn't be here, because I'd have left in the first month. But I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I gave it the 2 years, because it changed my perspective. But yeah, you know, I find it a bit irritating sometimes. I mean, people can make the content they want, but you will get someone that's been in Philippines for like 5 years or whatever, and then they'll leave. I'm not naming any particular vloggers here, and they will just criticise and criticise and criticise. It's terrible, it's this, it gets you down, it gets you this, it gets you that. And the place they've moved to is fantastic, and it's wonderful, and it's this and it's that, and it's cheaper and it's better, and everything's marvellous about it. And you just think, well, you spent 5, 6, 7 years, whatever you did in the Philippines, you obviously liked it to start off with. Has the place really changed, or has your perspective changed? And there's nothing wrong with your perspective changing. Just be mindful of that, because the place you've gone to, whether it's to Vietnam or Thailand or whatever, you've only been there a few months. So with the greatest respect, you don't know shit yet. You may well feel the same about that place in as you do in the Philippines in 4 or 5 years' time. So I'm not knocking people for that. I mean, I use the channel to get things off my chest. Just wary of people who follow videos like that, you know, who think, right, I'm not going to go there because I've heard all this negative stuff, but I am going to go to this other place because it sounds fantastic. It sounds like Nirvana. Because the reality is, nowhere is perfect. Doomaggetty is far from perfect. But you can make your home anywhere with the right frame of mind. You know, that sounds like, you know, I'm making the best of a bad job. I don't feel like I am. I'm well aware of Doomaggetty's limitations. And I'm well aware, to be honest with you, that I am probably more negative about Doomaggetty than I should be. I mean, because I wasn't impressed with the place when I first came here. But it was a high bar. You've got to remember, I came from Thailand. I was very happy in Thailand. So I wasn't comparing it to the UK. I was comparing it to Thailand and Cambodia. A friend of mine, Lachlan, was back from the UK a few weeks ago, and I was telling him then, when I was a bit pissed off about Doomaggetty, was it the best place for me? He was like, well, go back to England for a couple of months and you'll see how much you miss it. And I'm like, well, I'm not comparing it with England. I'm comparing it with Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia. So going back to England won't do anything. Kind of lost my train of thought there. But he loves the place. I mean, I've interviewed Lachlan a few times. But a nice subscriber I met the other day, a guy called Sean, was going to interview him, but things fell through at the last minute. But he's been over. He just spent a month in Vietnam. Been to Hanoi, been to Da Nang, been to Ho Chi Minh City, been to another place. He cut his trip short by a week. He'd had enough. Doomaggetty was his first stop. He's off in Sikihor now, then he's going to go to Bohol afterwards. Hello Sean, if you're watching. And he preferred Doomaggetty to anywhere he'd been in Vietnam. He was loving it. And there's another chap called Greg who I might interview shortly. You've seen his, I videoed him before. He's a chap with a pit bull who lived in a van. He just moved over this week. He's my new next door neighbour. He has replaced Sam. I lined him up with a house and that. He got here last week. He came here for a recce when I first met him. Because again, he was a subscriber. I met him in Sideways. He told me he was checking it out, you know, seeing what it was like, whether Dumaguete was the place for him. He was going to try a few other places. He went to Sikyor, that was it. He didn't go to anywhere else. He had an itinerary planned, and he decided Sikyor was the place, that Dumaguete was the place for him. Based on his couple of weeks here, to be honest, when he went back to America, because he still was mulling it over in his mind. I didn't think he'd be back. So when I say you're going to get to Dumaguete, you know, it's not going to blow you away, it's going to take time to get used to. But again, that was just my experience. There's 2 examples of chaps that have come here and fallen in love with the place straight away. Well, falling in love might be a bit strong, but I don't think it is. I mean, Lachlan's an example. The Scottish chap, so I've interviewed Lachlan 3 times, I think, for the channel. I might put some links to these interviews in the description if you're interested in these fellas. But he came here, he did a bit of travelling, he went to Bali for a couple of weeks, cut the trip Bali short, came back here, you know. He travelled around the islands and Thailand, and he wasn't interested in it. Dumaguete's a place for him. And I say he's back in the UK working now, but he's got a girlfriend here. His plans all revolve around moving over to Dumaguete specifically and retiring here. So I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying, you know, don't listen to the people that say it's terrible, or listen to them, and keep an open mind, because I can just tell you anecdotally, with no empirical evidence, I have met, I don't know, 6 subscribers in the last 6 months who thought about moving over here, were talking about it, who just came to check it out, see if it was as described, and they've all moved here. A guy called James Cook, he's moved here now. I interviewed him a while ago. He was the guy that worked in IT, he's here now. So there you go. You know, just because I think I made a mistake moving here doesn't mean you would be making a mistake moving here. But equally, just as I have grown to love the place, doesn't mean you wouldn't grow to hate the place. The point is, you've got to give it a try. You've got to taste these things out. As I say, you know, I wouldn't have moved if I'd known Vietnam was so good in terms of the infrastructure and the food and the cost of living and just basically everything. But I don't for a second. Things are falling out of my man bag. I hope I haven't lost everything there, but anyway, there you go. You know, try it, because you won't know. It's not for everybody, I know that. But as I say, a lot of these vloggers, I remember watching Vlogging a Dead Horse. I used to watch his channel quite a bit. You know, and he was like, you know, wandering around bits of Thailand, saying they're fantastic, came to do the bloody noisy. That's one of the negatives about the Philippines in general, not just Dumaguete. And he was saying how he didn't like it, couldn't live here, but now people could, etc. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I've lived in some of the places that you think are fantastic. Try living there. Sikyor being an example. You go to Sikyor, first impressions are amazing beach, paradise living, etc. You get island fever in a couple of months there, you know what I mean? It's like, so, anyway. Yeah. I think I have said enough. I think you get where I'm coming from with this. I hope the sound is watchable. But yeah, I just wanted to, I thought I'd make this on rather than do a coffee and a chat. I wanted to do it walking about so you could see Dumaguete in its in all its glory. As I say, it is very much, Dylan Thomas was talking about Swansea, but it is a lovely ugly town. You put it very succinctly. But anyway, I'm back now. That is the that is me. I mean, part of the time with the dog and the kitten I was busy, but once you get out of the habit of making vlogs, so a few times I thought I'd do it today, and I just keep putting it off. And then, but I'd be very lucky to say that guy Sean came to check that I was okay and why I hadn't been vlogging, and see, I don't point the camera in front anymore because of these vlogging rules. It's amazing how many Filipinos want to be. I've had loads waving and that, you know, they want to say hello, they want to be on the camera, you know. But you know, it is what it is. But I don't like to intrude on people, I don't want to upset anyone. But yeah, I do appreciate it. So I've got loads of messages. People, are you all right? What's happened? This, like, it was nothing sinister. It's just once you get out of the habit of making the vlogs, it's quite hard to get back into it. Well, it is if you're a lazy man like me. And not joking, that puppy has been so high maintenance. He really has run me ragged. Starting to calm down a bit now. The kitten was good as gold. I mean, she was difficult to start off with in terms of you had to feed her every 2 hours, you know, with the milk. But now she's fine. But he is very active, he's full of energy, and he's very demanding. He has to be with you all the time. You know, that's why I never wanted a puppy or a dog. I've had dogs in the past, but you know, they become your life. What I've always loved about cats is the independence. You know, they'll go and do their thing and come back and see you when they want you. But it's too late now. I couldn't leave him on the road. I couldn't let him end his young life that way. So we now have 2 fur babies. And hopefully now, I tell you what, that is that apartment that I did a video on a while back. The one that was for rent. How you doing? There you go, classic example. Everyone wants to be on camera. Right, you're not allowed to film them without their consent. To me, a hand wave is consent, but there you go, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I might put the link to that apartment down there, because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as described. But it was bloody noisy with that road. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it would be fantastic if you did. But whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe and be lucky.